Welcome to the TNT Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, TNT Tomlinson, and today we have a very special guest here with us. He was a top featherweight contender in his prime. His record was 70, 10, and 2. He had 4 world title shots against very notable names. He is the former WBO NABO Lightweight Champion and the former USA Arizona State Featherweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Castillo. Hi, Ruben. How you doing?
Yay! How are you, Patrick? How's everything?
Good. We were just saying this podcast up today and everything, like getting just everything kind of in order for it. But how are you doing?
Everything is fine. Wonderful over here. It's nice and hot and humid and all that crap over here in California. Now you're in Ontario. Are you in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's hot for us here, but you guys just must be burning over there.
See, right now it's almost 100 degrees.
Wow. When
so
Canada,
it's a little warm over here.
Yeah, in Canada it's like 30 degrees, and it's just
no, it's not 30. 30's like 86. Today it's probably more like 78.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are on Celsius, right?
Yeah, we're on Celsius. So we are. I think it's like officially like 25 or something like that, which I think I'm gonna say is 58, which is like 67, 77. So it's not too bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So nothing special, but I can get out. I can walk around. It's pretty good. All right, Patrick, you want to start with?
No. Do you guys have any Mexicans over there?
I want to make all these jokes, but I'm being recorded, right? So,
yeah. I'm
not going to make those jokes.
If you do, tell my cousins I said hello.
Okay. Well, what made you want to start boxing?
I'm sorry?
What made you want to start boxing?
Why did I want to start boxing?
Yeah.
Was that the question? The reason I started boxing, I was 9 years old. And I went to Catholic school. And we were the only Hispanic family in Catholic school. So all the white kids would because I was small always as a kid, so they'd pick on me and they'd start fighting with me. So I started boxing. And by the end of the school year, I was knocking the crap out of these guys that were, so, and I love to fight, so I become a fighter at the age of 9. And then I fought a lot of fights as an amateur, and then I went to the Olympic trials, and I got beat by David Lee Armstrong. He went on to the Olympics to win, I think, a silver medal. But it was amateurs, and I got to tell you something, amateur boxing is a lot tougher than the professionals, because you only have 3 rounds to do your business, and you got to get busy. In the professional world, you do 10 rounds when you're already established, and of course, I fought 15 rounds for the world title. So it's a lot different now. It's only 12, well, not only, but 12 rounds, and it's a great sport. And when I was fighting in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, boxing isn't the same. It's not the same as it was back when we were fighting.
Yeah.
You had guys like Arguello, Salvador Sanchez, and Julio, Cesar, Chavez. You don't have that anymore, and it's a lot tougher. It was a lot tougher then than it is now.
Yeah, like you guys had like so many good fighters in like a very loaded era. Like, how good do you think you'd be if you like fought today?
If I were in my prime today, as I was back in the 80s, I'd probably, as many belts as I have, I'd probably have 3 or 4. But and I'm not just blowing smoke, but the competition nowadays, you don't know. I don't know, and I'm a boxing promoter now, Patrick, and I don't know who fighters are anymore. And now it's like they're fly by night. They're champion 1 minute, the next they don't have the title anymore, and then you don't hear from them. And I believe it's because there's so much money involved now that they make in a title fight they make $2 million per defense, as opposed to back when I was fighting, we'd make $100,000 know why, but in all sports, like in baseball, you had Fernando Valenzuela, and football, you had all these great fighters, great football players. In basketball, you had Magic Johnson, Kareem, and all those. It's not the same, you know. And I'm a big Laker fan because I used to work for Dr. Jerry Buss, who owned the Lakers. God rest his soul. And the Lakers, back in the 80s, had come to the fights. So I got to know Magic, and I got to know Kareem. And I got to tell you something. I have a picture of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and myself. I'm standing on a chair at ringside, and I got my hands folded on top of his head. He is ginormous.
That's the crazy part.
I've never
Amazing.
seen anybody that tall in my life. Of course, I'm 5'6", and he's 7'2".
I would never know when we met, Ruben. It's you seem to be a giant anyway.
Yeah.
For height, I'm saying, not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, no, your presence is huge, right? You got a big personality. You got a big personality, so your presence is massive.
I have fun, Peter. I have a lot of fun. And you know, when I was doing color commentary with Chick Hearn, we had a lot of fun. He was very serious. He was real serious, but I wasn't. I like one time there was two guys that they weren't fighting, and I said one's scared and the other was glad of it. And we went to the bell rang because they weren't doing anything. And Chick says he was laughing his ass off. He goes, you know what? I got to start using that one because one looked scared and the other was happy that he's scared. They did nothing. But you know, nowadays, like I said, it's different. It's the money's so big. It's crazy. They get training expense money, what we got for world title fights. But you know, God bless them. And you know, now that I'm a promoter, they ain't gonna get that kind of money down with Ruben. So, but they have to fight. And I want to tell you, Patrick and Peter, I'm gonna do a boxing tournament. It's gonna be called the WBC Youth Tournament. What it is we have fighters from the age of 18 to 23, and they start eliminating. So we're gonna start in the featherweight division. So we'll have 16 fighters eliminate, and whoever is the last man standing, we're gonna get a WBC world title fight for him. Don King did this in 1977. Nobody's ever done it since, and I don't understand why. So that's how you bring back boxing. You bring the attention back to boxing. We're going to do our fights on CBS Sports. We're going to start on CBS Sports, and then we're going to end up going to the internet. But when you have national televised fights and you get the finals, you get the last guy, and we'll announce on CBS that the final will be on the internet, and my commentators are going to be Jerry Cooney. Remember Jerry Cooney?
Yeah, he fought Larry Holmes, and he was like a very great contender.
Right, there you go. Patrick, you're on it. So Jerry Cooney's going to be my colored guy. He's going to be my play-by-play, and Carlos Palomino's going to be my color commentator. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, like speaking of like the champion, you talked about like a bit about the U.S. Championship tournament. Like I read a bit about it on on Wikipedia and BoxRec when looking you up and doing some research for it. And from what you remember, could you please tell us us in the audience a bit about that tournament?
I'm catching your breaking now, so I'm catching as much as I can.
Okay. Closer.
What was the question again?
What do you remember about the U.S. Championship tournament?
Well, the United States boxing tournament was a very good tournament, and Don King did it very well. He got people who were ranked in the top, I think, 15 in the world in the WBC or in the United States boxing ratings. And so at that time, I was ranked number 1 in the United States and ranked number 2 in the world. So we all eliminated, and I fought Juan Laporte. I fought a guy named Richard Rosell that was very good, and then I fought another guy. Gosh, I can't remember the name. He owned this is a horrible story. Calvin Lampkin. I fought Calvin Lampkin. We fought twice as professionals, and with the money that he made with our fight, he made $15,000 per fight, and of course my fights were in Bakersfield, so I co-promoted it, so I paid myself more money than him. There was no way we were going to make the same amount of money. But anyway, he bought a limousine, and he was going to start a limousine service, and he was really he was a pain in the ass. At the weigh-in, I got on the scale to weigh in, he pushed me off the scale, and I hit him with the left hook at the weigh-in, and I dropped him. And so now we have all these people, his people, my people, is a riot. And I told him at the weigh-in, I'm going to put you to sleep. Don't bring your trunks to the fight. Bring some pajamas because you're going to bed, buddy. And I did. I knocked him out in 6 rounds.
That's crazy. I remember at weigh-ins today. It's just like a bunch of guys kind of I'm gonna get a little shouting match, but that's like 100 times worse, you know.
Hey Ruben, didn't one of your fights for the tournament take place in a prison or something?
Yes, I fought in the prison that Don King was in. We fought in the Marion, Ohio Correctional Institute. And so this is weird. This was funny. We were Don King, myself, Bruce Trampler, who worked for King at the time, and we were all there. There's about 8 of us with these guards. And so when you went into the prison, you walked in, and then you go through this gate, and the gate closed behind you. So now you're standing in the middle of 2 gates. So the gate in front of you open, you walk through it, closed behind you, and they told us, don't look to the left and don't look to the right, because all you saw were inmates. And there were bars, and they were reaching their hands in there to touch you, and the guards keep them away. They said, don't even look to, and they're whistling. That's just crazy. It was crazy. So the audience in attendance were all inmates. But you had all these guards with shotguns and stuff. And I said, what happens? I asked the guard, I said, what happens if they want a fight breaks out? He says, everybody's ordered to go on. All the fighters are supposed to go underneath the ring and be careful because they're going to start shooting. And I said, I don't know if I want to do this fight, but it was pretty cool. It was okay. Everybody was, they were very appreciative. When we came out, they were going crazy because you don't see professional boxing with national television in a prison.
No.
Yeah, it's like, and
and only the good guys. Like if you were, because they would feed them. They hold this dangled like a carrot. If you don't do this, and this, and if you're okay with this, you get tickets to the fight. So all the people there who won the best behavior came to the fight. It was weird. It was different. I'll tell you that right now. It was different.
yeah, that's probably that's probably 'cause based on you said there'd be shooting and stuff like that, and it's fights can break out, which is very kind of high stakes. Even with the protection kind of that you mentioned, it's very high stakes.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But it was an experience that I was honored and very. It was something that I really appreciated, because who goes to prisons to fight? You're in prison because of your fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was different. It was very well controlled, and they really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They were betting. Check this out. They were betting candy bars.
Wow.
It was funny. They said, "Come on, Ruben, I got a candy bar on
I
you,
got a
bro."
Baby Ruth on you.
That's
baby.
something little kids could go a bit,
Two Baby Ruths and a Snickers. Come on, Ruben.
Did they actually say they said that?
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy. But I remember hearing you were scheduled to fight Danny Lopez, the WBC Featherweight Champion, and Arguello was gonna fight Samuel Serrano in a junior lightweight unification, but because Serrano hurt his hand and the fight went through, Don King told Arguello, or ABC or something told Don King that he better get someone that's attractive, and they threatened to take away all of his TV dates. So he pulled you from the fight with with Lopez and told you to fight Alexis. Wait, no, and made you fight
You know,
Alexis.
that's very good. You did very good. You did your homework. I had a signed contract to fight Danny Literal Lopez. And Don pulled me out and put me with Alexis because ABC Sports said, if you don't put Ruben against Alexis, we're going to put all your fights because Samuel Serrano was not a draw. And me and Danny, and then they put Danny against Salvador Sanchez. So and I said, let me fight Salvador Sanchez. And Don was okay with it, but Salvador didn't want to fight me. So after the fight with Danny, they made it mandatory. See, that was not my weight division. The only reason I did it was for Don King. So I told Don, if I take this fight and something happens, I need to fight Danny Lopez. That's my weight division. This is not. So he promised me and he fulfilled it. But I know to this day, and I don't watch the fights anymore, but I beat Salvador Sanchez, and they stole that fight. And after the fight, Salvador Sanchez tells me that he will give me a rematch. And I said, why are you lying to me? You will never give me a rematch. And he asked me, why do you say that? Because I whooped your ass. Mm-hmm. And if we fight again, I'll knock you out. And I was right. He never gave me another shot at it. And I don't know how many defenses he had, like 8 or something. And in fact, he fought Laporte twice, the little sissy, and so he never gave me another shot. And then he got killed, and it was horrible.
He ducked you, He ducked you after that fight.
Yeah, he did. He didn't want to fight me, especially after the first fight. There was no way. There was no way in hell was I going to get a rematch again. He wasn't going to do that, and he didn't.
You'd probably be champ if you weren't as ducked as you were.
If I would have got beat by him for real, if I would have really got beat, he'd have given me another shot at the title. And then let me tell you what happened. So then he had this girlfriend named Teresa, and a best friend of his told him, Teresa is with your compadre, which is his best friend. So he got in the car, his Porsche that Don King had bought him, and took off in the middle of the night to go catch his friend with Teresa, and he went right underneath the semi-truck, almost decapitated him. And so the first responders at the accident were policemen. They cut off his finger to take the ring that Don King had bought him. It was like 12 carats of diamonds.
That's horrible.
That
just
horrible.
just to steal it. It was probably rich. It was probably worth a lot, but still.
It was like a $200,000 ring.
Wow. That's like old school theft, man.
It's and the thing is, they what? Why? I know it's bad. It's bad, but why would they cut off in his finger too? You know, it's just awful. Oh, and what were some of the fighters you watched growing up? So right about now, there was some issue with the internet, and that cut the whole thing out. So I was able to get back on a call with him, but once I got back on that call, it took a while to get back on that call. So there was a bit of a cut there. So if it may seem a bit weird, but that's why. Sorry about this. I'll try to stop it from happening again. But we were talking about the Don King, Alexis Arguello, and the Daniel Red Lopez kind of situation.
Yeah. So after the Alexis Arguello fight, I fought on Super Bowl Sunday, and the Rams were playing. And I'll never forget this. The newspaper the next day said the Rams and Castillo get KO'd. So the Rams apparently got beat up. So did I, but it was okay. So and then after that fight, I fought back as a featherweight, and then I fought Salvador Sanchez. And you need to see the fight. YouTube.
I watched it.
I
Doing research.
I whooped his butt. But, you know, again, Patrick, back in those days when you were the champion, there's this myth that you have an advantage. You shouldn't have an advantage. You have two fighters fighting each other. Regardless of who the champion is, whoever wins the round gets 10 points, whoever loses gets 9. In case of a knockdown, the fighter getting knocked down gets 8, and of course the guy standing gets 10. Very simple. But they figured it was Salvador Sanchez, and back then it was different. You know, Don King had a lot of fights signed with Salvador Sanchez, and, you know, he was a good champion. He wasn't a great champion, but he was a pretty good champion. Nobody is as good, or will ever be as good as Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, I watched this one interview and you were, like, praising him, and I heard something about, like, after your fight with him, you told Don King to sign him to a lifetime contract.
You know, Don asked me what I thought about Julio. I said, this kid is different. He's not your ordinary champion. This kid is going to be a legend in boxing. And I was right, you know. He asked me if I wanted a rematch, and I asked him if he was stupid. No, I don't want a rematch. I'm good.
Is that like the one title fight you declined?
I'm sorry?
Is that like the one title fight like you declined?
Absolutely. I'm a fighter. I'm not a dummy. You know, I knew. See, when I fought Julio, he was 42-0. He went to 92-0.
That's crazy.
That's really crazy. And I'm gonna tell you something, Patrick. Today, him and I are best friends. We're best of friends. I go because I live over here in Beaumont, which is kind of close to Palm Springs. So I go to San Diego and the Mexican border right there, Tijuana, and he lives in Tijuana now. So when I go over there, I give him a call. We'll go eat at a friend of ours that owns restaurants. So we'll go eat at the restaurant and have mariachis, and we have a great time. So Julio and I have become very, very close friends, and he's a good guy. And it's always good to be friends with the guy that whooped your ass.
Yeah.
So he's a super, super guy.
Oh, and speaking about Julio, like recently he fought in an exhibition against Hector Camacho Jr. How do you feel about these old fighters coming out of retirement and fighting in exhibitions?
I'm gonna tell you something. I think, and that's a good question. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. This is what tells you where boxing is at. People are buying these fights. It tells you where we're at in boxing. Who in the hell is going to buy a sparring session? This is what tells you about boxing today. It's horrible. You don't have any fighters that are, you know, they're going to follow, they're going to pay money to watch Julio beat up somebody in a sparring session. Oh my goodness. And Julio asked me if I wanted to do an exhibition bout with him. I said, are you out of your mind? I learned the first time we fought. You see, Patrick, when you get in the ring and you call it an exhibition, you say, we're just going to do this, that's a bald-faced lie. Because if I get in the ring with somebody, I'm going to knock the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when you're in the ring. You know, you don't pity-pat around. Because what's going to happen is you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you back, you're going to hit me harder, and I'm going to come after you. So that's what boxing should be like. You know, I don't get it, and he asked me if I would do it. I said no.
Yeah, and boxing's like one of the most dangerous sports, probably the most dangerous in the world. You know.
No, you know what? I'm going to tell you what is the most dangerous sport in the world is. You're not going to believe it.
What is
you ready?
It? Yeah.
Horse racing.
Because of the jockey.
And you know, you think about it, it makes sense. These horses are running 40 miles per hour. You fall off that horse, you're done. Especially if you're winning the race. You have all these horses behind you. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Like
I think I would rather get run over by 6 horses than to fight Julio Cesar Chavez again.
That just shows, like, Chavez is, like, how good Chavez was, you know, and his dominance.
Oh, are you kidding me? I know. And they asked me, how hard did he hit? I said, go ask him.
another fighter I think you did that for was, like, I saw this one interview in, like, 2011, and this was, like, back when Canelo was, like, I think he was, like, a world champ. He won his world title, but, like, he didn't fight, like, any of the really big names yet. And you said he could beat, like, any other top fighters, like Pacquiao, Sergio Martinez, and, I think, and you said Chavez Jr. as well. And, like, that's crazy. Because he was...
Canelo is at the right place at the right time, Patrick. There's nobody in boxing right now that's good. Or that's exceptional. Not like when we fought. Like, you put Canelo against a Sugar Ray Leonard in his prime, there's no Canelo. You put him against an Alexis Arguello back in his day, there's no Canelo. See, right now, there's nobody. What do you know of any other world champions there are in the world besides Canelo?
I follow the current day boxing, like, a lot. Like, I mean, I watch, like, a fight every weekend. So, like, I watch it pretty actively, but, like, I know Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Gary Russell Jr., Lomachenko, guys like that. But, like, I feel like the casual fan wouldn't know as much as normally he would.
Yeah, but you know a lot more than I do, and that's the truth. You know more about boxing than I do, right? And I can tell you right now. You see, Lomachenko, to me, he's not a great fighter. Anybody, if I would have fought him in my prime, I'd have slapped the shit out of him. Alexis, Lomachenko is in the right place at the right time. Back in our day, everybody was good. There was a guy named Juan Escobar that I fought. He's from Tijuana. That guy had 36 wins, 36 knockouts. He wasn't playing around. And, he got beat by somebody, I beat him, and, started going downhill. But back in our day, Patrick, we had a bunch of great fighters.
Yeah,
and what you mentioned were our world champions. Back in our day, anybody in the top 10 in the world would hold 3 belts today.
So,
but it's all different now.
So, Ruben, who were the guys you watched when you were growing up? I mean, who were the guys that you liked a lot? Who I was good friends with? I was very good friends with Marvin Hagler. And do you remember Ron Lyle? Of course.
Yeah.
Ron Lyle was one of my best friends because I lived in Denver. I lived in Aurora. And we trained in the same gym in Denver. Ronnie was such a good man. Oh, yeah. I put shaving cream in his boxing shoes, and when he put his shoes on, he felt it, and we were all laughing because we were at a distance. He looked in his shoe, and he didn't say anything except, "Ruben, I'm gonna beat your ass." I don't know how he knew it was me, but he knew it was me. Ron Lyle was one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. And it's a shame that he's no longer here.
Yeah,
Ronnie was the head of security at the Tropicana Casino in Vegas. And by accident, I go to Tropicana and I run into him. I see him. I go, "Ron." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "You are kidding me." He looked at me and goes, "Ruben." He hugged me. You couldn't see me no more. He was so huge. Ronnie was, I'm telling you, he's one of the best friends that I've had in boxing in my life. One of the nicest guys. But you can't cross him.
Yeah.
You cross him and oh boy.
Well, he didn't eat it in real time. Yeah, he was in jail.
He was in prison for manslaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed his manager because his manager stole money from him.
So, as a boxing fan growing up, though, who were the fighters that you liked? So, like, you're 9 years old, and you're starting to, to fight in organized situations. Who are your favorites?
My favorite fighters. Do you remember a guy named Oscar Bonavita?
Yeah, he was a big heavyweight.
Ali.
Argentina, fought Ali, fought Frazier twice.
Argentina, he was...
Ringo.
Everybody called him Ringo. This guy had the ugliest feet you'll ever see on a human being. He was, we trained, and I went to watch him train, and he took off his boots, and everybody had to leave the building because it was horrible. But Oscar Bonavita was one of my favorite fighters. Of course, Ronnie Lyle was one of my favorite fighters. I always thought that I always liked Lupe Pintor and Alexis Arguello, and because they're older than me, and I ended up fighting Alexis, of course, but back in those days, man, there was some very, very good fighters. Ruben Olivares was my idol.
Puas.
And we become best of friends. Let me tell you something, Peter. I got a chance. I fought a guy by the name of Hector Carrasquilla from Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And he fought, Ruben Olivares fought Eusebio Pedrosa on the same show. Well, I fought on his show, on his card, in Houston, Texas. And I knocked Carrasquilla out. My manager was my godfather. And he bet $100,000 against the Carrasquilla's manager, who also managed Pedrosa. He was an attorney with a lot of money. So he come up to my godfather and says, "I got $100,000. You wanna bet on your boy?" He says, "Absolutely." So they gave it to somebody, to the promoter or whatever, to hold. And my godfather said to me in the dressing room, "If you knock this kid out, I'm going to buy you a brand new Corvette," because he knew the Corvette was my dream car. I said, "Are you kidding me? Put it in writing, and I'll knock out his family." He put it in writing and knocked him out in the third round. We go to Bakersfield. There was a red Corvette in three-way Chevrolet. At three-way Chevrolet, there was a red Corvette in the showroom floor. That was mine.
Wow.
My godfather paid cash for it, paid $17,000 for a 1980 Corvette.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy, bro?
Yeah, you fought some big names on some of the world's biggest stages. How would you mentally prepare yourself for that?
You know, it's funny, and that's another good question. You to me, back in those days, they weren't famous to me. They weren't big people to me. They were just another fighter to me. But I trained hard, and I worked hard, and the problem with my career, it was a lot different, because back in those days, you had to be a great fighter to become a world champion. You just didn't become a champion like they have now. You had to be, because everybody in the top 10 were vicious, were absolutely great fighters. And Alexis Arguello is a legend. Salvador Sanchez is a legend. Julio Chavez is a legend. So back then, the fighters were much different than now, you know. It's become Hollywood, you know. And that's why, Patrick, I'm going to do this tournament. We're going to get these young kids that are talented that nobody hears about, and we're going to have people hear about them. And we're going to, and whoever wins their tournament, they're going to be the best.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Number one fighters, and that's how we're going to create world champions.
Yeah, I've noticed a couple modern day tournaments, like the World Boxing Super Series and stuff like that, but like I'd like to see more tournaments, you know? And that's just like a great idea.
They're very good. They're very good. And let me tell you something. And I want to tell you right now, I don't know who are all listening to our conversation.
It's just me and Patrick.
But I'll promise you, when we do the tournament, you and Peter coming out to my fightings.
Thank you.
I want to sit ringside with you.
Sounds good to me.
We're going to go over boxing, and we're going to say, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? Because you know more about boxing than I do. I'm telling you, that's the God's truth. I was a fighter, and I thank God that he gave me that talent, but I don't follow boxing. And I'm not going to follow boxing until we do the tournament and blah, 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 blah. But because, you know, they're fly-by-nights nowadays, you know? They're champion 1 minute, and the next minute they're not, you know?
Yeah.
So it's we're gonna bring boxing back.
That'll be exciting. That'll just be amazing.
How long have you been a boxing fan?
I've been a fan since about when I don't know, like probably like maybe like what year is it?
It's 26.
Oh yeah, wait, no, wait, what year did I start? I think it was like 2015.
That's what I meant. 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say about 2015. I started, so like maybe 6 years. And like we went, but like I mean, I followed it like a lot. Like I followed it. I followed it like a bit then, but I followed it like even more. Like it just shot up kind of in like 2018.
Who do you like? Who's your favorite fighter right now?
From today's currently from the current fighters, it's Canelo, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. All time, it's like Evander Holyfield and Muhammad Ali.
Evander is the nicest guy you'll ever know. And Muhammad, of course, he's the greatest of all time. I gotta tell you the story. Kenny Norton had a testimonial dinner in San Diego. That's where Kenny lived. And I got invited. And so, they fly me in. I was living in Santa Maria, California. So they flew me in on this private jet into San Diego. So I told my brother, he was my best friend, he was like a brother to me, and we called each other, we're brothers, you know, and I called him up and I said, meet me at the airport because I was going to land at this hour. So he meets me there in his work truck. So, and he's going to take me to a hotel. So he quit, he got out of work, he was his own boss, he was a contractor, so he got out of work and he goes and picks me up in his pickup. So I get off the plane and there's a guy in a suit with my name on a card. And I said, what the hell? How did he know I was on this plane? You know, I didn't know who it was. So I asked the guy, I'm Ruben. And he goes, Don sent a car for you. I said, it's okay, my brother's here. That is not going to happen. If I don't pick you up, I get fired. You're going with me. If your brother here, tell him to follow me. Because we got to pick up Ali at the other terminal, because Ali was coming from out of the country. So he said, you have to get in this limo, or I'm not leaving. We're not going anywhere until you get in this car. So I had to get in there. I told my brother Dick, he said, you got to follow us. We go across the airport to pick up Muhammad Ali. I got to tell you something. From the baggage claim to the car was, you could throw a rock at it. You know? Very close. It took 2.5 hours to get Muhammad in the car from the baggage claim area. That's how many people just surrounded him. And Ali signed every autograph and took every picture who was asked to take a picture.
That's crazy. Like nowadays, you don't see that much.
The greatest man you'll ever know in your life, you would have ever known in your life. The guy this is how great he was. He was great in the ring, and he was great outside. And he says, I'm going to tell you something, champ. The people, they treat you like this, so we got to treat them like this. Because they asked me for autographs because I'm pretty. He cracks you up.
That's great.
That's a great philosophy, though.
He was right. They made us. We didn't make them. They made us. The boxing fans, if they weren't fans, who would know about Tyson Fury? Who would know about nobody would know him.
Yeah, they'd just be fighting in like bars, maybe.
Ali was the epitome of boxing. He was the epitome of a good person. That guy was, and so anyway, so let me tell you, finish the story. So Dickie is following me in his truck. So we had to pull over because Ali wanted to tell Dickie something. So when the driver pulls over, Dickie pulled behind us. He gets out of the car, goes to Dickie, goes to his truck, and he tells Dickie, I want to meet Mrs. Dickie. He said, what? He goes, I want to meet Mrs. Dickie. So Dickie was about to shit himself. He goes, he wants to meet Lynn. Well, then let's go. So the limo followed my brother to his house. And when we drove up, they live in a cul-de-sac. When we drove up, Lynn was standing out. She has absolutely no clue to what's going on. crying. Ali goes up there, and we go into Dickie's house, and he says, I want a picture with Mrs. Dickie. She has those pictures today, as we're speaking right now, all over her wall.
Wow.
In her house. Now, does Muhammad have to do that?
No.
No. That's what tells you that he's the greatest ever.
He has like a great philosophy.
She made him he wanted a sandwich, so she made him a ham and cheese sandwich with soup. We did, after he finished eating, we often see, he says, okay, Mrs. Dickey, I see you tonight. Ali made sure that her and Dickie sat at his table. Is that cool?
That is
amazing.
Today, you cannot say one word bad about Muhammad Ali. Nobody can. She'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
She's the greatest of all time, you know?
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some good stories, you know? But Ali, especially with Ali, he was a great man.
That's cool. All right, Patrick, do you think you have enough material to put something together, or do you want to ask some more another question?
Just another couple, if that's okay with you.
Sure, no problem.
Well, do you have any regrets from your career?
What's that?
Do you have any regrets from your career?
Yes, one regret. All the wives I had. No, I don't have any regrets. The only regret that I do have was the Salvador Sanchez fight. I should have knocked him out. I had a chance, and I just didn't. I didn't take the advantage, and I knew he wasn't going to fight me again. But that's the only regret I had. I had him hurt on a few occasions, but it just didn't happen. But other than that, boxing was great to me. Boxing is great for people. Boxing is great for fighters, and that's what we're gonna try to do, Patrick. We're gonna help these fighters achieve their goal in life, and that's the world title. So with that, I'm always gonna be a person who wants to help these kids, and their kids are 18 to 23 years old that are gonna be involved in this tournament, and you're gonna meet all the fighters that I'm gonna invite. Evander Holyfield's coming to our fights. Roberto Duran's coming. Julio's coming. So you're gonna meet all these great legends of boxing.
That's crazy. And what's your favorite moment from your career?
What's that?
What's your favorite moment from your career?
The favorite moment of my career? Oh gosh, there's so many good moments. I would say it has nothing to do with boxing, but because of boxing, I met the wife that I have today. I appreciate a lot of people. I appreciate Don King for what he did for my career. I appreciate fighting Julio, fighting Alexis, fighting Salvador. I appreciate all the fights. And the most thing, I appreciate the fans. Because, Patrick, if it weren't for us, there'd be no boxing. Us, I'm talking as fans, as boxing fans. A lot of times these fighters don't appreciate boxing fans. I did, and I always will.
Well, okay, wait, is there anything you'd like to promote before we end it off?
Just that we're going to do boxing, and I want the people who listen to this and who watch us. My company's called Double Trouble Promotions. We will be on CBS Sports. I can't give you a date yet, but Patrick, when I get the date, you're going to know about it, and your dad and you guys are going to be ringside with me. So